welcome everybody to the first ever Boss Body Blog interview. I've never really done this before. We don't even know where it's going to go, but
Right.
we
Right.
got a very special guest today, good friend, and it's interesting. He just became an IFBB pro bodybuilder, and that had to happen in order for us to catch up, which is a bit sad, but want to welcome Mr. Alp Yurteri.
Thank you.
How's
Thank
it
you,
going, dude? I want to
Robert.
hear everything about this. And first of all, congratulations to the pro card. Let's hear about that. First of all, what was that like?
Yes. Oh man, it was. You prepare so long for just one day, and that one day it seems like it goes by in a flash. And whether at the end of the day for anybody, I think that they should consider themselves a winner no matter what, because it's just so difficult going through what we go through, and not everyone can do it, and not everyone's cut out to be a competitor, and it's. You do have to push the boundaries of your physicality and also mentally, that you come to this point where like it's either you just gonna go with the flow or you're just gonna crumble and fall apart.
Yeah.
And but at that point it was just such a I'm almost still speechless about it, because I never thought that it was going to be me, and no one ever really thinks that in the beginning. There's a lot of behind the stage. There's like a lot of guys sizing each other up, which is kind of pointless, because it's never the guy that everyone thinks, because we're not judges. We're not trained to see some of the things that the judges do see. For example, the level of conditioning that we have to get to. I've been working with my coach, IFBB Pro Dan Houghton. And he's been in the industry for quite some time, and he can see that that level of conditioning that the judges see, that we as competitors just probably have no idea about.
Right.
And backstage, you're always second guessing yourself, because you're so you're dieted down, and you dropped your water, and so just the fact that you're in a very uncomfortable state.
Yeah.
And then your mind can easily play tricks on you. So you just need that outside set of eyes, a second set of eyes, just to take a look at you and be like, okay, what am I missing, or what do I have?
Yeah.
But it's that little difference that makes that makes the difference.
So practically, how does that work? Are you literally on stage, and as soon as you find out that you won or whatever, that's when you know that you got the pro card, or how does that work?
Oh, well, okay. So I was a little bit. It's kind of like a mystery within the industry, I guess.
Yeah.
And stuff. I guess when you graduate to the next step, you get the secrets. Well, what the pro card means is that I am now eligible to compete in professional competitions.
Okay.
Where I will be competing with people who are professionals in this division, the physique division. So the pro card. It's similar to the NPC card. NPC is an amateur league, and the NPC card you pay for, but the NPC you pay for entering each contest or each competition.
Yeah.
While in the professional league, you just pay for the pro card, and then the competitions are they're free for the competitors.
Oh, cool.
So you just pay once, and then you're competing at events that have anywhere between I think the lowest payout is $3,500 if you get first prize. And I think the highest one, I forget what the Olympia is, I think it's 10 grand or something like that. Anyways, but that's what it is. The pro card means that you are now eligible to compete with professionals, which is, it's some people think that it's at the end, of the journey, but really it's just the new beginning.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I mean, like you said, that industry is so much kind of, there's a lot of secrets or whatever behind the doors that you just don't really know how things work until you're inside of it, I guess. But dude, let's for people that don't really know anything about you. I mean, we met in college, so I got to know you pretty well. But talk a little bit about your background, and especially in terms of your fitness journey. I know that let's get dramatic here. Somebody tried to kill you. We want to hear more about that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No problem. Sure. I guess I'll go back all the way back to the beginning. I was always a pretty athletic person. Always growing up, I was actually a huge Arnold was my biggest idol, and I actually had a picture of Arnold in my room. It wasn't a very big one; it was a very small one. But I felt that I needed to improve myself, or I felt that I needed to turn a leaf or, shed some new skin. I do some push-ups and crunches. I'm talking when I was like 3, 4, maybe to the age of 3, 7.
Yeah.
So Arnold was always a big inspiration of mine, and I knew that I had some sense that I was going to go in that direction because I saw that, the development of the body, it commands so much more than just what you see, because there's like the mental aspect of going through what you have to go through, but also there's another aspect of how people in society deal with it. I'm not a very I don't think people consider me as an aggressive person, but just from having more size, it's people assume outlandish things that you're an MMA fighter, no, you're a heavyweight boxer, no.
Yeah.
I'm none of those boxers. No, this is a passion.
I'm just a big
that,
dude.
I'm a big guy, and I just have a love to create, aesthetics, and I want to reach my absolute perfection. That's the funny thing in bodybuilding. It's not necessarily the end goal that everybody's trying to, is everybody talking about. It's actually going through it. It's the pursuit of perfection, which is the key word here is pursuit.
Right.
Because at the end, you never feel that you were satisfied.
Yeah.
And so, growing up, I was always very athletic, so I was very fit. But it wasn't until I started when I went to college that a lot of things changed. That now I was at a satellite campus for 2 years, and I wasn't gonna be able to play any Division I, Division II, or Division III sports. And so I picked up weightlifting more seriously and really began my fitness journey in the freshman year of college. I did have a decent knowledge of weightlifting and training due to my wrestling background. I did wrestling for about 2 years in high school, so I did have an idea of where to go. But it wasn't really until I really sat down. I actually received a book from my brother-in-law Marvin.
What, the Arnold book?
Yes, the Arnold book.
I remember that thing,
yes.
man. You used to bring that thing to the gym. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, it was my Bible, and I felt that a lot of my foundation knowledge really came from that book. A lot of reading the different and
what is
the
that
differences
book,
in body
What's
types.
The name of it? What's the name of that book?
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. Honey, do we still have it? Let's bring it. Let's show everybody.
The book.
We got another
copy. The book itself is like a workout to carry.
Yeah, it is. It's like it legitimately maybe 7.5, 10 pounds, and
it's nuts.
That as you can see, Arnold in the background, we're huge advocates.
Oh yeah.
That book I actually ended up giving to my. Yep, there you go. I ended up giving to my cousin, but we don't know where we put the new one. Anyways, we don't know where we put the new one. I was actually behind the computer holding up the other stuff, so let's not move it. It's holding up other stuff. Yeah, let's not move it. But yes, I found a lot of my foundation knowledge came from that book. And that's when I started putting routines together. And when I started putting routines together, I could actually start learning more about the anatomy of the muscles, where they are, how they work, and how they contract and expand, and such and so forth. And eventually, after college, I was doing pretty well in college. Had its ups and downs because you're going through college.
Yeah.
But after I graduated college, I came out of Penn State University. I eventually went to Maine, graduated from Maine, and on a trip in Turkey, I actually was involved in a hit-and-run accident. So I was in Turkey celebrating my college graduation, with my younger cousin at the time, and we were at a bar, a beach bar, and I was a heavy drinking fraternity boy, or I used to be a heavy drinking fraternity boy, yeah, very heavy, and so I got thrown out of the bar, and eventually, I guess I had said something in the bar, but I really don't remember. I don't remember saying anything to anyone. So this part is a little bit of a mix of who this person really truly was. I personally think it was some guy in the bar who just saw me having a better time than he was.
Yeah, just jealous.
I guess. So eventually, when we left the bar, a car pulls up behind us, and the person rolls down the window. And Chris, I just get out of the road, and then I curse back, and I say screw off, and eventually he's like, oh, okay. He shuts his door, and he revs the engine, and as I turn around, he hits me with his car, full blast, And my cousin literally said my body had flown about 10 meters. That's probably what, like around 30 feet ish, somewhere ish, around that range. So that's exactly like when I broke my leg, and eventually he drove off. So that's kind of like where like eventually a huge difference, like a huge change in my life happened. After going through that it was kind of like, how a caterpillar like cocoons. It was kind of like that. Like I'd have to like kind of sit down and rethink some of the decisions and like my actions and how I've been and my attitude. And it was just a lot of time of self-reflection, and a lot of things changed in that period of 8 months, because at that point I had a job lined up, and luckily everything worked out, and my boss at the time understood what was going on and let me have the leave. But God forbid, that's a problem. It's a big problem. But after that, I really told myself that I really had to clean up my act, and continue on being productive, and try to be, I guess, kind of one of my motto would be like, be 1% better every day. And so what I did, I just kind of like really adopted, I guess, in some sense, adopted this whole ideology and lifestyle, and I've taken it from there. And since then, it's just been, progressively, staying on track with my meals, my diet plan, as well as my training, and such and so forth. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like to have fun on the weekends, but during the week time, it's business 24/7.
Yeah, dude. And we're definitely going to get into like the food part, because I sent out an email to my list about, I don't know, when we first started talking about doing this interview, and the one thing that everybody wanted to know was like, what the hell does the guy eat, basically? So we're going to get into that, but I just wanted to ask you if you could say maybe like what would be maybe one thing that you learned from this whole accident thing, and like having those 8 months to reflect and recover, and being out of the weight room, like.
I definitely kind of before we shot this, I actually ended up cutting my finger. One thing that I did learn is that for certain decisions, I should truly take a second and think about it and think the consequences of my actions. And also the next thing I learned was, don't drink too much. A lot of the stuff could have been really easily avoided if I wasn't, completely wasted.
Right.
But I was definitely taken advantage of, and they definitely did a number. But that chapter of my life is closed. Thankfully, everything worked out well. So we get to move on.
Right. No, it's not. There's no time for dwelling in the negative past, but it's time to look forward, and obviously going pretty well for you. So
absolutely.
So let's dig into the food stuff, man. It's very again, the whole fitness industry is, when you take it, that seriously to the point where you're a fucking IFBB pro. I think the commitment is so, because I don't even know, but I imagine that the commitment is so next level that I'm not even aware about, how much it goes into. And I have this theory that professional bodybuilders is probably like the most dedicated athletes in the world, because you're on 24/7, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess the daily lifestyle of a competitor like myself, there is a little bit of a difference. When I say a little bit, there is a big difference between the bodybuilding division as well as the physique division. Yeah. I don't necessarily want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but I will. Bodybuilders do have to be a lot more strict. Time does come, but we are still like very strict ourselves. So I can just kind of talk about what the physique guys do. For me as a now IFBB pro physique guy, it is 24/7, and a lot of times I do end up thinking to myself, like, if I'm missing this meal or missing this workout, like who is or who isn't, missing this same meal or workout. Like, you are thinking about it 24/7, and like every cut that you get, or something that can possibly be an injury, you always have to consider, be like, okay, how is this going to hinder me? Is this going to make my workout slower or longer, or such and so forth. So you got to constantly be thinking about those things, and I guess my current life for me is normal, which is weird. I mean, I guess some people when I'm explaining my lifestyle to certain people, they really don't have any clue how I live my life. A lot of the people from more like in the city, they they have a hard time understanding, like, you eat more than 3 times a day, like, oh, and you train for longer than 30 minutes, what?
Yeah.
It's, it's so I guess for some people it can be seen as, drastically different, but for me it's normal.
Yeah.
For I guess an average day for a competitor like myself, let's say we take let's take we're 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
And it's 6 weeks out is kind of like the awkward changing time when your body is changing, kind of going away from your off season into your contest prep shape.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are happening in your body. So at that point, the night before, a lot of things is preparation.
Yeah.
You really got to prepare, and being on schedule is being on point. And if the closer you're on schedule, the closer you're on point, the harder you're going to be beaten.
Right.
I do believe that I will attribute my win to a couple of factors, but a lot of the things was consistency. For the whole off season, there was constant 6 meals a day coming in. Even on our worst days, we would have really high calorie 4 meals.
Yeah.
So the calories were still coming in, even though they weren't necessarily on point. But eventually, as you come closer and closer to your 12 weeks out, you start realigning your scheduling and and the importance of consuming food at the right times and staying consistent on your plan. There was actually, believe it or not, I truly believe that diet is usually the main battle. How strict you are with it, how frequently you do eat, and such and so forth. They really do set the difference in terms of physique, or different terms in body. So there was actually a couple times where I actually got sick. The road going to getting my pro card was no short of a gauntlet. I was getting sick like every other week. Like I had 4 weeks out, I caught the flu for 2 days, and then 3 weeks out, I caught strep throat. I was out for 3 days, and then 2 weeks out, I was gonna go to a buddy's show that I helped him prepare for.
Yeah.
And walking up to the show, I rolled my ankle out for another 3 days.
Great.
And it just and I might be getting a little too real for people, but as I actually on my first the first show that I did this season, we were posing and we're doing our back poses, and a lot of people think that physique is kind of a wuss's division, or it's like a pretty boy contest. I will say that a lot of people who do say those things probably don't understand the terms of presentation. You really have to present yourself to be graded properly, and a lot of people don't have presentation. That's another story. So yeah, it's just the diet when it really comes down to.
Yeah.
It's
could you maybe run through just kind of quickly? Say I guess first of all, let's do this. What does 1 year look like? In terms of what are you focusing? Are you bulking for 3 months and then you're prepping for a contest for this long? What does 1 year typically look like?
Okay, good question. A year typically looks like a lot of planning. So depending on where your show is. So I guess we'll go through something like I did this past season.
Sure.
So this past season, it was my first official off season where I really focused on my diet. That's why it was so consistent, and it was more like a lean bulk. I'm more comfortable in my off season being above 200 pounds, which is kind of funny to say, which is it is a little heavy, but I'm a little more comfortable. I like the added size. But this time I really don't think I actually broke 200 pounds. I stayed in the high 190s and bounced probably back and forth between maybe low 200s. While normally I would try to add as much size as possible, as much mass as possible. So this past offseason was a little more tame, a little more toned down, but it was a lot more consistent. And so you're going through your off season for 3, 4, 5 months. I think my complete off season was. Actually, from the time you stop competing, you should go directly into your off season, because that's going to help you add more size. Yeah. Because the best time to add size is after a show, when you're so emaciated and now malnourished. Yeah. That you want to flush the body with new nutrients, and that you'll start seeing growth almost instantly, day by day. Right. So you're basically on your off season up until you're 12 weeks out. The official time is you're 12 weeks out from your first competition. Some people like to start 14. I know some people like to start 16. For me, I found that at the 12 more week mark, you should start cleaning up your active. In terms of cheat meals. In the off season, you have anywhere between 1 to 3 cheat meals depending on your body type.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like to say at least.
Yeah.
And when you're 12 weeks out, then you can start watching what you're eating and just make sure you start to you get everything in order. 10 and 8 weeks out you're pretty much in the same idea. But when you're 6 weeks out, you should be really buckling down. At 6 weeks out, you should probably have maybe 1 cheat meal a week and hitting all your meals on time. 4 weeks out, no more cheat meals. You cut them, and you eventually, of course, the food's changing with which each time, 6 and 4 weeks.
Right.
But hitting the meals, the timing of the meals are very important, and it's going to be really very important because it kind of dictates how your body's going to be the next day.
Yeah, yeah. So would you say that it's like 12 weeks is in season, so to speak, and the rest of the year is off season, and
right.
you're
right.
I guess bulking and
right. So
building muscle.
Right. Well, it depends on how many shows you want to do. Eventually, what you kind of do is you kind of have a range of what you want to. You want to figure out. Let's say I want to get. Let's say if there was an amateur saying I want to get my pro card within a set number of days, so weeks. So let's say they'll say what I did was I figured out from Team U was going to be my national stage debut. And I searched for another show that was in the area that was a week or two before. You want to stay with a week or two before, so your body's still in conditioning and your mental mindset is still in work mode. You don't want to go into celebration mode too quickly because you'll rebound, and that's where a lot of competitors they lose it. They'll have one great showing at their first show, they'll lose it, and then they'll look terrible at their second show because they mentally lost it. So I found that South Jersey was in the area. It was about an hour and a half away from me. And it was exactly 1 week away from Team U, and so that's how I plan my things. And eventually, you plan 12 weeks out, and eventually, when you dial back in. But let's say worst case scenario, I was actually already making scenarios about what I should do had I did not win my pro card at Team U. If I decided if I was not going to win my pro card, then I was already eligible for a national show. I was going to hit the next national show. I believe it was I think it was North Americans or the USA's in Vegas. I believe just passed. Those are the 2 shows that I was planning on hitting after, depending on how I was going to place. Right. So you kind of stretch it out to see how
how many competitions you're doing.
How many competitions you can do, and I would probably say 3 back-to-backs is probably the maximum you should do as an amateur. I think after 3, you're really stretching it because the body can only take so much. After 2, you're very gassed.
Yeah.
So I usually do it in 2s. If I do shows, I did it in 2s. But that's what I did.
Cool.
Yep.
Probably one of the biggest things is obviously motivation, and I think people kind of expect motivation to just show up and be like, hey, take care of me, make me want to work out. And I have this thing where I think it's part of your preparation somehow. It's like you have to fuel your own motivation. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how you keep the fire going.
That's good. That's a good thing. The motivation is a huge topic because that's going to stem, like you said, it's going to spur all that's going to happen. And it is sometimes hard to find the motivation or, find the resolve to go to work out or get your meals ready. Yeah. And for everyone, that's going to be different. For me, it's a lot of... It's a combination of things. I draw strength and pull strength from different areas and different experiences I've had in my life. I don't know if you've spoken about or read about the interview I just did. When I was in Kansas, I was bullied a little bit for being my parents being from another country, and when I was younger, that was actually one of the main motivations was to be the best and prove others wrong. As time changed and as I've been. Things changed and I moved, and it became more of a competitive, it's more of a, for me thing. And then as that went on, I got into the accident, and now it has become, I want to truly attain, to become the best version of myself I can possibly be. And it also is a kind of a self-respect I have for myself that I truly hold myself to a certain standard. And there is a great bodybuilder, Rich Gaspari. He spoke about having a lot of expecting a lot out of himself, and I do expect a lot of myself. And so this helps fuel my motivation, and helps me, do what I need to do. It is a lot of work, and at times it almost seems daunting. But as long as it gets done, as long as it gets done, it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting though, because I think there's two ways to look at it. There's kind of one, I guess the core of doing, if you're attempting something like you're doing, you need to have a really strong why, which is the stuff that you brought up. Like it's the old things from when you were growing up. That's kind of like I wanted to prove people wrong, whatever. And then I guess it's changed a little bit, but so I guess the first thing is to figure out why are you doing it, because if you don't have a strong why, it's not gonna ever
it's gonna fall apart. It's gonna fall. It's gonna it's gonna crumble.
That's kind of like the big overarching. That's probably the best way to start. But then there's also kind of the, when you wake up on Monday morning when it's raining and you're like, you should go to the gym, but you really don't feel like, and it's just like that, do you have any tools or like things that you do just to kind of like get over that one time where you're slipping a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I know that feeling. I've been there before, and I've done both ways. I've took the coward's way out and stayed in, and then I've also took the highway out and went to the gym. I will say this, that there is a place for both. I think that you do have to live your life, and you do have to enjoy it, and you kind of have to look at the situation and the circumstances. Now you have to look at yourself. Like, what did you do the past 2 days? Maybe you really crushed legs and chest 2 days before, and you actually do need to chill out for a day. Then maybe that's going to make some sense. Right. Or maybe you slacked off for 2 days and this is the third day, and this is kind of the times when you got to be like, okay, this is day number 3. It's either, you decide, do you want to be great, or do you want to just sit in your bed and do nothing? Yeah.
You want to be a sheep or a wolf?
So you got to look at this. Exactly. You want to be a killer. You want to be a kill or give a kill. You make that decision, and at that point, that's kind of like when the things matter. Yeah. But I do believe that you do have to enjoy your life. I do believe that you have to do things that make you happy, and such and so forth. And if you are really tired, you can't be right. If you are extremely exhausted, then take the time to rest. Body is as much rest as it is work. Yeah. You do have to do work, but without the proper rest, you're going to go nowhere.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Sweet. So yeah, my blog, basically the way I want it to be is, I want people to show up, and it's kind of targeted towards those people who they don't really care too much about, why I'm supposed to do certain things. It's just like, give me the answer. What do I have to do? I'll trust you. I'll do it. So if you were to talk about maybe some massive mistakes that people make when it comes to, getting a good physique, like what would be like the top 3 mistakes that people make to start off?
Okay. Good. I do want to say that everybody that I've met wants kind of like a quick, like, oh, what's your trick? But I will tell you this, that for you to really stick to something, especially a diet plan, or stick something that you want to get a good physique. Like, I wanted to be who I am today, and having this physique was a part of who I was going to be. Yeah. So if your resolve is not that strong, then you're gonna have some troubles. But I think that and once you get the right mindset in and the right preparation, and to know where you're going to be going, and you're going to be excited. You should be excited to know what's going to happen to your body. You should be excited to know that you're going to lose weight or put on muscle. You should be excited to have purpose. That's the main thing behind it. So I guess you first have to get that, and then once you've really found this this inner fuel, then and you start training. I would say this to, I guess, a person beginning, or a person who's just looking to have a better body. The biggest mistakes would be, and I'm throwing this word around diet. A lot of people say I'm dieting, and what do you diet? I ask them, what are you dieting? What are you eating? Yeah. And there's like, oh, I had some hamburgers and pizzas. I'm like, well, that's not a diet. That's just disgusting. Like, what are you doing? These guys are very big, very, they have, they're very full, these big bellies, and very strong guy. And my first, advice would be to get your diet in check. If you really truly want to have a good physique, if you want to, have sculpted biceps, chiseled delts, such and so forth, then really focus on your diet. That's where a lot of results are going to come. It's alarming. A lot of the big, those buff guys will actually cry to see how little muscle they truly do have under all that fat. Right. And if they really truly diet, they would really see how small they truly are. Yeah. So instead of trying to add so much fluff, you should just be focused on trying to yield very dense, good muscle.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be the first thing, is get your diet in check. Number two would be learn form. Oh my God, this is huge. Form is one of the biggest things one of the biggest things in the gym that I can really express. Having the proper form while working out is gonna increase the longevity of you working out. Time and time again, you'll see kids with terrible form, and they're going to be good burnout so much sooner than you are, because they're actually causing harm to their body. They're actually damaging, their joints, their tendons, and it's not feeling good. They think it feels good. They think that they're working because they're feeling pain. They think this is it, but that isn't it. It's the wrong pain. Yeah. And the one thing I have developed over the years is trying to differentiate, like, good pain, pump pain, or is just like injury pain. Right. There's the difference in pain. Right. And a lot of these kids are like, "Oh,
it hurts.
Man, this is
definitely hurts,
so pump pain, but it's really, it hurts." Exactly. So form is the second thing. Number three would be, forget about the weight. The weight doesn't matter. The weight doesn't matter at all. Kai Green will be the biggest advocate. Rich Pino will be the biggest advocate of this, and it is to use that proper form to use the proper weight to conduct the proper contraction and expansion of the muscles. Yeah. So if you use a weight too heavy, again, you're going to just be hurting yourself. Yeah. But with lower weight, you can actually go extremely low. I can actually still get a solid pump from using 10-pound dumbbells. Yeah. And then when you go into that, it's a little more of the mind-muscle connection, and how, you can connect your mind to the muscle and how the contraction happens. But it's really, first one would be to get the diet in check. Second one would be the form, and the third one would be weight. Yeah, that would be the three biggest mistakes.
I love that.
That I can say that these guys do.
Yeah, that's and I'm probably guilty of all three, but especially number three, because you bring your ego to the gym and you're like, fuck it, I'll add a little bit more weight. I know I can do it. I've done it before, or just trying to push that next boundary, but. And then you fuck up number two, which is your form, because you're just trying to throw the weight up, and just disaster.
Absolutely.
So that's great, man. I think that's very useful, and I think I'm actually going to be bringing that one to the gym myself. I think we're about ready to wrap, but there's a few things. There's one question that I'd love to ask you, and it's just for comedy purposes. Sure. But what are three things that people do in the gym that you just can't stand? I know I have a whole list myself, but there are certain things that.
Okay.
Or maybe you go to the right gyms now where people know how to behave, but there's certain gym etiquette that a lot of people are just they don't know about it.
Yeah, there are some things. I have been to a lot of gyms. I've been to the gyms in Italy. I've been to a gym in China. Mm-hmm. I've been to gyms in Turkey. I've been international gyms and gyms around the U.S. I can't stand somebody who is using a machine but not using it at the same time. They're chatting on it.
Oh yeah.
And it's the worst when there's a group of them and there's 5 people sitting around one machine or one area, and they're taking up the whole thing, and you're like, oh my God. That would be my first one.
I'll see that.
My my second. Let me think. My second pet peeve would be, which I'm guilty of sometimes, very rarely, is that there's sweat on the machine. I'm sure everyone thinks the same thing about this one. Just gross.
Right,
You're just man,
yeah,
clean your shit up. And I guess the third one would be just the mean muggers, man. The mean muggers. There's just so many mean muggers. No matter where you go, there's always somebody mean mugging.
What's that? What is that?
And
I don't even know what that means.
Well, it's kind of it's just somebody just mugging you, just kind of eyeing you up, kind of squinting at you, looking at your physique, and just and then eventually sometimes they'll actually it's the weirdest thing. It's I don't know if it's a subconscious behavioral instinct, because I think I might have done this sometimes when earlier when I started working out, is that you get I feel this mean mug, this guy staring at me in the corner, and then all of a sudden once I start warming up, this guy's right next to me doing bicep curls, eyeing me up, as I'm standing in the mirror, and it's just come on, man,
leave me alone.
What are you doing? Leave me alone. I don't.
Trying to fight me in the gym.
I was exactly. I'm just trying to get my swell on, everybody else here. I'm not trying to bother anybody. And actually, and the thing is, like, I guess some of the things now that I'm competing and whatnot, now if I find myself mean mugging, I actually go out and introduce myself to the person and be like, hey man, I wanted to tell you that you have a great physique and like your maybe your calves or your biceps, great muscle bellies, and I was wondering if you competed or not. And actually, a lot of the times, a lot of the guys do compete.
Yeah.
One guy at my gym was training at my gym. I had seen him for a whole year. And I finally met him at Team Universe, and I was like, "Wait, you go to my gym?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I saw you in the gym." He's like, "But you always look pretty busy, so I never bothered you." I'm like, "Oh."
Cool. So, in terms of the actual gym, two-part question. How much time
Sure.
are you spending at the gym per week? And once you're in there, I'm the kind of person, I'll go in, earphones in. I don't really talk to anyone. I'm just like, I go and do my thing. And I remember in college, you're pretty social in the gym, and you do your thing and still talk to people, whatever. Has that changed, or do you go in and you just kind of like get in and get your work done and leave?
Okay. Good question. I guess I'll start with me personally about the whole social thing.
Yeah.
I am still pretty social, and now that I have my pro card and I actually am like someone in the circuit now, I do get stopped. I do get stopped a little bit more, and I am very social. I do believe that it should be a social environment. I do think that you should, to some sense, be able to ask the person next to you, be like, hey man, can I get a spot? Like, it should be a place that everybody's trying to improve.
Yeah.
And it's for everyone's trying to improve. There should be some kind of like positive communication. If there's positive communication, the whole idea of fitness in some sense is to be positive.
Yeah.
And it's contagious. It is. It's very contagious. And once you can make someone contagious, turn someone's negativity to positivity, they'll open their eyes. They'll see things through a different view, a different glass, and then they'll be positive, and it'll be contagious and such and so forth. But I understand. I do understand the need to actually kind of put the headphones in and fly solo. Right. I do that about 4 weeks out from my competitions. I do that because at that point you do need to focus. You do really need to buckle down and focus. And everything does have a purpose when you're. Really at 12 weeks out, everything has a purpose. I mean, everything all year has a purpose, but at that point, that's when that purpose it matters 110%. Right. 6 and probably like 6 to 4 weeks out, I'll just put my headphones in and I'll fly solo.
Yeah.
If somebody does particularly like tap me on the shoulder, and I'll just give them a head nod. But in the off season, I do like to be social. I do like to say hi to everybody. Yeah. Hi to my friends, because it should be a positive environment where we work out. I guess the next question is, how long do I work out for? That's a good question. Since the seasons do change, my training does change. During the off season, I will hit a lot of heavier like compound lifts. I'll do like the bench press, the squat, the deadlifts, my workouts will be probably anywhere between an hour to maybe up to 2 hours, depending on how intense it is, or if I'm training with a training partner. But that's kind of the range it is in the off season. Off season, it's to I don't want to say slack off. You're going to be making gains, but it's a time that you should also enjoy your life a little bit too. Yeah. Because when the competition does come, it does get very, very, very busy. So competition prep, let's say we're 12 weeks out. Now it starts changing. Now you want to start increasing your rep range. Your rep range, let's say if you're in the off season, your rep range was anywhere between 8 to, let's say, 12. You want to increase the rep range to, or say if you want to even go lower, let's say, I know I used to do like 6, as low as 6. But I find that the higher the repetitions is the more times you're pumping that muscle, the more times you're pushing the blood through the muscle, and you are going to get more of a pump that way. You're gonna feel that more expansion in the bicep or the tricep or such and so forth. So I do like to increase my rep range when my season starts picking up. And then eventually, in my off season, I don't really do much cardio. I might throw it in if I do have something planned. But as of right now, the cardio in my off season is kind of something I keep to my prep season. Yeah. So eventually, about like 10 weeks out, I'll start doing the cardio, maybe like twice a week. And then eventually, as I get close to my show, I'll be doing more and more cardio per week. So let's say at 4 weeks out, I'll be doing cardio maybe 3 to 4 times a week at 20 minutes a day, as well as a rope at 10 minutes. So I'm doing about 30 minutes of cardio a day for that 4 weeks out, and then I'm going to increase that with each week. By the time I'm doing my shows around the corner, I'm doing cardio every day. So it's going to change. Like it's during my prep season, it's probably like 30 to 45 minutes of weights, and then like 45 minutes to 50 minutes of cardio.
Okay.
And then off season, it's just all weights.
And how many times a week are we talking? Like pretty much 6 times a week, or
the cardio?
Well, just going to the
around
gym.
My competition.
Like working out.
Well, like working out in the off season, I will throw cardio in every once in a while, depending on if I have a certain event, and let's say if I'm putting on a little too much, or if my conditioning is not exactly where I want to be. But because my diet is so strict, like I'm so like in my diet, like I said, this past off season has been extremely consistent. I haven't really needed much carb implemented to restrict my calories, so I've been pretty good. Also, my genetics also played a part. I don't really have endomorphic or too much mesomorphic, I guess, genetics. So everything's very ectomorphic, I have very small wrists. My muscle fibers are very lean. So my genetics do play a part in there.
Dude,
as well.
I have the smallest wrists you've ever seen. It's like a little girl. It's like a 6-year-old girl with hair on her arms.
Yeah, my wrists aren't very big, and
not much you can do.
I mean, so
shit happens, right?
Yeah.
Mom,
dad, whatever.
Cool. Well, again, about to wrap up, but I guess we could finish with kind of resources that have been, life-changing, so to speak, for you. You talked about the Arnold book. Like, what other, are there videos that you watched, again and again? Are there songs you listen to? Are there books that you read? What's been, life-changing for you in that sense?
Well, I guess another place where I also derive some motivation is that I'm a huge geek. I'm a huge dork. I love superheroes, Superman, Batman. Right. I love all the Marvel heroes, all the DC heroes, and that also kind of like as a part of the motivation is I try to be a pillar of like something positive, something good, and kind of why I have so many superhero T-shirts and a lot of things I have superhero, but I do drive a lot of the motivation from there, and that also attributes to the things I also talked about before.
But so yeah, man, that's cool and very inspiring here. I mean, I didn't really know that you were trying to get the pro card or whatever, and now you're there. And congratulations again. What's next for you, dude?
Thank you.
What's the next step?
The next step is to enter the pro circuit. I was not expecting to take overall at Team U. A lot of people keep calling it Team U. Unfortunately, it's now called NPC Universe. I actually learned the reason. I talked to J.M. Manning after the show why they had to switch it from Team Universe to now just NPC Universe. But now it's officially NPC Universe. So at the Universe show, I actually had the privilege of taking overall. And kind of, I guess what I kind of think of it like this, like when you take second, it's kind of like saying, okay, like you're a pro now. It's time for you to compete at the pro leagues, but you might want to take some time off to build up some of your weak points. First place is kind of like saying, like, what I understand is saying, like, okay, you're in the pro leagues, you're ready to compete. Like you choose if you're ready to compete or not. When you take an overall, it's kind of saying, or for my understanding, it's like, okay, like it's time for you. It's fine to get on stage with the pros. Okay. Like it's time for you to ready. Like you're ready. And that's how I kind of understood it. So I think it would be foolhardy of me to not do a pro show this year, because taking an overall victory like I did is very important. So it would be very important for me to continue my progress. So I will be hitting a show. It's still up in the air. I will put on the record that I think it will either be Fort Lauderdale Cup or the Kentucky Pro. I think one is the October 18th in Florida. And the Kentucky Pro, I believe is in November, early November. So those are the two shows that I'm currently looking at. But right now, I'm not necessarily in victory mode anymore. I'm very much into work mode. But I'm still trying to get things back on track, because after shows, the body is very, it absorbs nutrients very quickly, which is great. But in terms of strength, it's not where I used to be in the off season, because in the off season you have to have great strength, because you have plenty of nutrition and plenty of carbohydrates, and your strength will be there. But and contrast preference strength eventually diminishes as time goes on, and you eventually become weaker as the weight drops. So this is kind of like the opposite way. It's like now my body's filling out, I'm looking thicker, but my strength is still restricted. That's one of the reasons why my training changes, or why is right now I'm still in the higher repetition range. I'm hitting reps between 15 to 25 reps, and the pump is great. The pump is it's amazing. The body is just absorbing all the carbohydrates, and it just it's fantastic. But then unfortunately, the strength isn't really there right now. It is building up. The stamina is building up as well. But eventually, when I go back into maybe 6 weeks out, I'm gonna feel like a real dip in my in strength and stamina. Yeah. So when I'll start switching out my training styles.
I think that's I'm not. My fitness goals, they kind of fluctuate a lot, but when I have kind of been in a nice big bulked up situation and then decided to cut, it's hard in the beginning to come to the realization that you are going to get weaker, you are going to get smaller, but you're also going to look a lot better in the mirror. So, but
a lot of people, that's the dilemma. That's the dilemma of everybody in the gym. A lot of guys are saying, I would love to cut down, but I don't want to be I don't lose my strength.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what everybody says, and it's just like, hey man, all right, you don't I can tell you till my face is blue, but if he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. And so
personally,
that's kind of like where the ego comes in. I kind of let the ego go and just, all right, man, chill with the heavyweights. I gotta start, actually more of the sculpting of the body. That's really where the sculpting of the body comes from, is the pump up, the higher repetition. That's where the definition and the density of the muscle is going to be there.
Sweet. All right, dude. Well, for everyone watching the video, where can they follow you, find out more about you, and all that good shit?
They can my Facebook. I have a Facebook fan page going on right now.
Sure, we'll put a link in for that.
You can follow me there for a lot of my Facebook's a little more geared to my fitness. I do have my personal Facebook too, but I also have my personal email up, as well as my Instagram. My Instagram is not private, so
cool.
Follow me on Instagram. So. Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, thanks a lot. It's been good fun. It's again nice to catch up. One of us had to go pro for it to happen, but thanks for doing that. But
anytime.
Honestly, good chat, man. And I think people are gonna like this. Thanks. So hopefully, we'll make this happen again pretty soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, dude. Good chat. Talk to you.
Later, Bobby. Take care.